first thing everyone remembered about Daniel Hargrove was his smile. It was warm, disarming, the kind of smile that made strangers trust him within seconds, the kind of smile that made people feel seen. And that's exactly why no one suspected him. The town of Brook Hollow was the kind of place where nothing ever happened. Quiet streets, predictable routines, people who waved at each other without thinking twice, until the disappearances began. At first, it didn't feel like a pattern. A college student, a single mother, a traveling nurse, 3 people, no connection, no witnesses, no bodies, just gone. Detective Laura Bennett had seen cases like this before, not in Brook Hollow, but in bigger cities, darker places where patterns hid beneath chaos. But here, this felt wrong. People don't just vanish, she muttered, flipping through case files under dim fluorescent light. Not like this. Across from her, Detective Michael Carter leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. Maybe they left, he suggested. New start. Happens all the time. Laura didn't look up. No, she said quietly. This isn't running away. She tapped the files. There's no financial activity, no communication, no trace. It's clean. Too clean. What made it worse was what they didn't have. No crime scenes, no suspects, no motive, just silence. And silence, Laura knew, was never empty. It was hiding something. Weeks passed. The town grew uneasy. People started locking doors earlier. Conversations became whispers. Parents walked their kids to school. But there was one person who seemed untouched by it all. Daniel Hargrove. Daniel was everything the town admired. A volunteer at the community center, a youth mentor, a man who remembered your name, your birthday, your favorite coffee. He smiled at everyone, and everyone smiled back. Laura first noticed him during a routine canvassing. She and Carter were going door to door, asking the same tired questions. Have you seen anything unusual? Did you notice anyone suspicious? Any unfamiliar vehicles? Most people gave the same answers. But Daniel, he invited the man. Detectives, he said warmly, stepping aside. You must be exhausted. Coffee. Laura hesitated. Carter didn't. Don't mind if I do. Daniel's house was immaculate. Not just clean control. Everything in its place. Symmetrical. Intentional. Laura's eyes scanned the room automatically. Family photos. Bookshelves. Soft lighting. Normal. Too normal. You live alone? She asked casually. Daniel nodded, smiling. Half for years. Keeps things simple. Simple. The word lingered in Laura's mind as Carter chatted with him. Laughing at something Daniel said, Laura studied him quietly. His posture, his tone, his timing. Everything about him was precise, not robotic, but practice. You must see a lot of people at the community center, Laura said. Oh, all the time, Daniel replied. I love helping people. Makes life meaningful. He held her gaze just a second longer than necessary. Not uncomfortable, just deliberate. Have you noticed anything unusual lately? She asked. Daniel paused. Not long enough to be obvious, but long enough for Laura to notice. Then he smiled again. That depends, he said lightly. What counts as unusual these days? Later, as they drove away, Carter exhaled. Nice guy, he said. We need more people like him. Laura didn't respond. She was staring out the window, thinking. Did you see it? She finally asked. See what? The pause. Carter frowned. What pause? That was the problem. No one else saw it. Over the next few days, Laura dug deeper, not into suspects, into behavior. She pulled up reports, timelines, victim profiles. And then she noticed something, a pattern, not in the victims, in the gaps. Each disappearance happened within a narrow window of time. Late evening, no witnesses, no noise, no struggle. Whoever was doing this was organized, careful, patient, and then she cross-referenced something else. Community center attendance logs. Her pulse slowed, then quickened, then stopped. Daniel Hargrove's name appeared every single time. Not suspicious at first glance. He worked there. Of course he'd be present. But Laura wasn't looking at presence. She was looking at absence. On the exact nights the victims disappeared, Daniel left early. Every time. Coincidence? Maybe. But Laura didn't believe in coincidences. She brought it to Carter. He stared at the board, arms crossed. "That's thin," he said. "Really thin." "I know," Laura replied. "But it's something." "Or it's nothing," Carter countered. "You're building a theory around a guy who volunteers, and makes people feel safe." Laura turned to him. "Exactly." That's when it clicked. "People like him don't raise suspicion," she said slowly. "They erase it." Carter didn't like where this was going. "Laura, he's not just friendly," she continued. "He's calculated. Everything about him is controlled." "You're profiling him now," Carter said, "based on feeling." "No," Laura replied, "based on behavior." She leaned closer. "Predators don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like the nicest person in the room." Silence filled the space between them. That night, Laura couldn't sleep. Her mind replayed every detail. The smile, the pause, the precision, and then something else surfaced. A memory. Daniel's house. The symmetry, the control, and one small detail she almost missed. A locked door at the end of the hallway. At the time, it meant nothing. Now, it meant everything. The next morning, Laura made a decision. One that could either break the case or destroy her credibility. She requested a warrant. Denied. Insufficient evidence. Of course, because monsters like Daniel didn't leave evidence. They left impressions. So Laura did the only thing she could. She went back. Alone, Daniel answered the door with the same smile. Warm, familiar, perfect. "Detective Bennett," he said. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" She didn't smile back. "I need to ask you a few more questions," she said. "Of course," he replied, stepping aside. "Anything to help." As she stepped inside, Laura felt it. A shift, subtle, but real. The air felt heavier, quieter. Daniel closed the door behind her, gently, too gently. They sat across from each other, same as before. But this time, Laura wasn't observing. She was hunting. "Where were you last Thursday night?" she asked. Daniel smiled, but this time, it didn't reach his eyes. "Home," he said calmly. Laura leaned forward. "Alone?" A pause, longer this time. Then, "Yes." Laura held his gaze, unblinking. "Can anyone confirm that?" Daniel's smile returned, wider, sharper. "No," he said, and for the first time, Laura saw it. Not kindness, not warmth, but something colder, something empty, something aware. "You think it's me," Daniel said softly. It wasn't a question. Laura didn't answer. He leaned back, studying her, like she was the one being investigated. "That must be exciting," he continued, "to finally feel close to something." Her heart pounded, but her voice stayed steady. "Are you?" she asked. Daniel tilted his head. "Close. A beat." Then he smiled. "Closer than you think." The words hung in the air, heavy, unsettling. Laura stood up slowly. "I'll be in touch," she said. Daniel didn't move. "Of course," he replied. As she reached the door, he spoke again. "Detective." She paused. "Be careful," he said gently. "Sometimes the person you're looking for is already watching you." Laura didn't turn around, but as she stepped outside, her phone buzzed. A new report, another disappearance. Time, 20 minutes ago. Location, her street. Laura froze, and in that moment, she realized the truth. This wasn't just a killer hiding behind a smile. This was a killer who had already chosen his next victim, and he knew exactly where she lived. Laura didn't remember the drive home, only the silence. The kind of silence that presses against your ears, that makes every thought louder than it should be. Her street looked the same. Quiet, still, ordinary. But now it felt staged, like a set, like something was waiting for her to step into it. She parked slowly, engine off, lights out, and just sat there, watching. Every house was dark, Every window empty. Every shadow too still. Her phone buzzed again. The same report. Another woman missing. Taken less than 20 minutes ago. From her street. Laura's chest tightened. Not fear. Not yet. Something colder. Something sharper. Connection. She stepped out of the car. The night air felt heavier than it should. Like the entire neighborhood was holding its breath. Then she saw it. 2 houses down. Police tape. Flashing lights. Carter. He stood near the patrol cars, speaking to an officer, his face tight with confusion. When he saw Laura, he froze. "What are you doing here?" he asked. Laura didn't answer. She just stared past him at the house. "Who is she?" Laura asked. Carter hesitated. "Emily Vance, 31, lives alone." Laura's jaw tightened. "What time?" she asked. "Roughly 25 minutes ago," Carter said. Neighbor heard nothing. No signs of struggle. Of course not. Laura stepped closer to the house. Everything about it felt wrong. Not chaotic. Not violent. Precise. Just like him. "Laura," Carter said carefully. "Talk to me?" She turned to him slowly. "He was with me," she said. Carter frowned. "What?" "Daniel," she said. "He was with me. In his house. When this happened." Silence. Carter's expression shifted. Doubt, then realization. "That's not possible," he said. "I know," Laura replied. And that was the problem, because it meant one thing. He wasn't working alone. Or worse, he didn't need to be there. Back at the station, the air felt different. Tighter, like the case had just slipped out of their control. Laura stood in front of the evidence board, staring at Daniel's name, over and over. "He wanted me there," she said. Carter leaned against the desk. "Why?" "To prove something." Laura's eyes didn't move. "He knew I was on to him," she continued, "and he wanted me to see it but not stop it." Carter exhaled slowly. "That's a hell of a risk." "No," Laura said. Her voice dropped. "It's control." They pulled everything they had on Daniel. Again, but this time, they weren't looking for evidence. They were looking for behavior. Patterns within patterns. And then they found it. Security footage. Not from the crime scenes. From the streets around them. Daniel's car. Always nearby. But never at the exact location. Always just outside the frame. Watching. Waiting. He studies them. Laura said quietly. "Who?" Carter asked. "Everyone." She pointed at the screen. "He learns routines. Habits. Timing." Her finger moved, and then he chooses the moment no one is looking. Carter crossed his arms. "But that still doesn't explain how he was with you." Laura didn't answer, because she already knew, and she didn't want to say it out loud. That night, she didn't go home. She couldn't. Instead, she sat in her car again. Engine off. Lights out, watching her own house. Minutes passed. Then, movement. Across the street. Figure. Still. Watching. Laura's breath slowed. Her hand moved slowly toward her weapon. But she didn't reach for it. Not yet, because something felt off. The figure wasn't moving. Wasn't reacting. It was just standing there. Then it stepped forward. Into the light. And Laura froze. It wasn't Daniel. It was a woman. Pale. Shaking. Alive. The missing victim. Emily Vance. Laura jumped out of the car. "Emily!" she called. The woman staggered toward her, barely able to stand. "He!" Emily gasped. Her voice broke. "He told me to come here." Laura's blood ran cold. "Told you?" she said. Emily nodded weakly. "He said you'd understand." Laura felt it then. That same feeling. The one from before. Not fear. Anticipation. She turned slowly, back toward her house. And that's when she saw it. The front door. Open. Just slightly. Laura's heart stopped, because she knew he hadn't followed her. He had beaten her there. Inside, the lights flickered once, then went out, and somewhere in the darkness, a voice. Soft. Calm. Familiar. Detective. Pause. Then, "Now you're close."